I be saying things on these videos and y'all look at me like I'm telling lies and shit. I say things like, the money that comes, the portion of the money that never comes to you from child support goes to judges' retirements and stuff like that. I say that there's an agenda to break up the family. I say all of these things. Y'all look at me and still you listen to respond, not to gain knowledge. So, since you won't listen to me, what about him?
If the state is profiting off of child support?
Correct. And in most states, the Judicial Retirement Fund is funded from this money. So the more child support that's issued from the family courts, the larger the judicial retirement. It's a massive program. It's the size of the largest defense programs. So the incentives are absolutely huge.
To get people to pay child support?
Correct.
Even married people, to get them to break up and then have to pay each other child support?
Absolutely, yeah. There's really no appeal from family courts. So family courts, unlike normal, like civil courts or criminal courts, there's almost no appellate options out of a family court. So the judges operate with no oversight and just do whatever they want. There are massive federal programs that were instituted in the late 1970s that pay states trillions of dollars to tear families apart. So it's so innocuous when I tell you, be like, this is a great program. But like in Texas, we get 66 cents on the dollar put into the Texas Treasury for every dollar of child support that's paid, right? So the state is now highly incentivized to issue the maximum amount of child support. That's why almost all divorces got 50-50 prior to the 1980s. And there was this skyrocketing of divorces where one parent loses custody. And that was to maximize Title IV-D reimbursements to the states. So there are fathers out there with 49% of the time that are paying maximal child support still. So family courts basically work off of fabricated evidence. That's number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is election season. And you're going to start hearing all of these people running for office, talking about family values. Also, they can get in there and do what you've been able to see right here on TikTok, what you've been able to see right on Facebook, what you've been able to see right on YouTube. So they can get in there and shoot the dozens at each other and do all of these things or whatever the case may be. The first thing that's going to come out their mouth as they're campaigning to keep office or get into office is family values. Those sound like serious family values, right? Because, ladies and gentlemen, there is always, whenever money is involved, there is a business side to it. And when you enlist the services of them being basically legalized hit people for money in order for them to carry out the extortion of said person, there's nothing about family values that come with that shit. There is a business to it. They don't do it for free. So, here it is. I've said it. Now you heard somebody else said it. Show off. So what's going on, y'all? So this is the extended version that I'm doing exclusively for YouTube. And this part of the video will not be on TikTok, but this part of the video will be only on YouTube and maybe Facebook. Here is a truth that people will not ever admit. How important nowadays is humanity? And if you don't think that a large chunk of it has something to do with our willingness to treat each other terribly and put each other in certain situations because our relationships didn't work, I would never advocate for the guys who just don't try and don't try to be. I would never advocate. But for those of us who try and are involved, and those are the guys that I advocate for. When we talk about such things like child support and alimony, those are the guys that I talk about, the guys who never deserved to be there and who really got into these marriages and relationships for all the right reasons, and because it didn't go right, whether it was their fault or their partner's fault, they end up being punished. Those are the guys that I advocate for. If you go and look at my platform, I've done this platform here on YouTube for over 9 years. my sticking point, while I may point out certain things or whatever the case may be, all things that I point out are things that prohibit us from being together. My platform has been based on the coming together of black people to actually be able to understand one another and for us to stop doing these things to each other. That's what I've always stood on. So when we sit back and we look at how we do each other, and then we sit back and we look at the people that we're putting in office, that on our dime they get paid to shoot the dozens and attack each other personally rather than handle the business that they're paid to handle, and those people are going to come up for re-election very soon. It is apropos when they're sitting back and they're looking at us and we don't give no damns about each other. How do you think they're going to react? Nothing issues aren't important because it's us that's tearing each other apart. And they see that. And with that was the beginning of humanity not being a point of emphasis. God bless. Show off.